Hello and welcome. You're watching Tech 24. I'm Julia Seeger. Coming up in the show, we all know the movie Diamonds Are Forever, but are they really? In this edition, we tell you everything you need to know about lab-grown diamonds and how technology is trying to make things easier, not only for jewelers, but for manufacturers and consumers. And it's a smartphone accessory that's set to become a tech must-have. In Test 24 this week, we try the I/O by Giroptic, a camera that brings 360 photo and video capture to the iPhone. But first, as the end of the year is coming up, let's just take a minute to look back on 2016 with our in-house expert, Dan and Jay Kattlecar. Hello and welcome, Dan.
Hello, Julia.
What were the big tech trends in 2016, Dan?
Well, one of the most stunning visuals of the year gone by was the landing of the Falcon 9 rocket on a floating platform in the middle of an ocean. This signifies the birth of a new era in terms of reusable rockets. You know, the reusable rockets could significantly lower the financial constraint that normally you face when you're launching the space vehicles to the International Space Station or even for deep space exploration. So in a way, this reusable rockets, the success of this test could herald a new future in terms of lowering the costs for space travel as well.
We were also very impressed by a drone, the EHang 184 drone.
That's right. It's a bit quirky, but an interesting innovation. It was unveiled at the CES 2016. It's made by the Chinese company EHang, which specializes in making drones. And in this particular case, they have a drone that can ferry a passenger, one person to be precise. It can fly for 23 minutes on a single charge. It's electric powered, and it can cover or can go at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour.
And we spoke about this not long ago on Tech 24. Elon Musk unveiled this year the solar roof tiles, making Tesla a sun-to-vehicle company.
Absolutely. I mean, now with this unveiling, installation of solar energy systems on your rooftop, it's quite bulky and it's quite cumbersome. But with this, you can just embed the solar panels in the tiles. You can get electricity. Of course, it's not going to be cheap, but over a longer run, the cost is going to be less when you consider all the utility bills. So this could again, trigger something interesting in the field of solar energy.
And of course, VR was also very big this year.
Yes, two big names, HTC and Sony, introduced their much-awaited products, the HTC Vive and the Sony PlayStation VR. Both have unique applications. PlayStation VR connects with the PlayStation console. You can play plenty of games. HTC Vive is more sophisticated. It has a more enriching experience, but the applications are plenty, not only in gaming, but in the fields of medicine, in tourism, architecture, you name it, and it's there.
Thank you so much, Dan. We're going to move on now to a whole other story. An Israeli company has invented a machine that it says can instantly grade the clarity of polished diamonds. It's a development the company says will bring new standards to a painstaking process that has long been subject to the whims of human subjectivity. Mark Thompson has the details.
They all sparkle, but how much is this diamond worth? All these pieces have been evaluated and analysed by experts, whose subjective opinion dictates how much the jewels go on sale for. That could be set to change, thanks to this machine.
We see the diamond. This is a vision of the diamond from the table. These are the same with inclusions highlighted by the software.
The Serene Clarity machine, created by an Israeli firm, can grade the clarity of stones automatically. It's expected to be on the market from the middle of 2017, and the manufacturer believes it means consumers will be able to trust the valuations that they're given.
When you have technology measuring the diamond and giving you unbiased, objective grading of the diamond where you cannot argue and say, okay, this is not what, there's no argument.
Not everyone is convinced. Roland Laurie's company has been analysing diamonds for over 40 years. He says the machine might save some time, but he doesn't think he'd be able to trust its results just yet.
You need the brain of a person to identify what is better to see. What do you prefer to see? Then do you prefer one bigger black inclusion or 10 small inclusions? All of that are many possibilities that I think will take a long time for a machine to be able to replace a human being.
Research by a US institute in September revealed that up to 6% of all American jobs could be replaced by robots by 2021. For now, at least, the diamond industry appears skeptical as to whether technology can improve on the human eye.
And speaking of diamonds, it's the hardest material available on Earth, but it also has other properties. It has semiconducting properties.
That's right. It's such a fascinating substance. To be more precise, I should say that carbon is such a fascinating element because diamond is essentially carbon. Now, what diamond has in terms of property is that it has great thermal conductivity. It means that it is able to dissipate heat more efficiently than silicon. So if we use diamond as semiconductor, just to give you an example, we could spare all the cooling systems that are required for normal semiconducting devices. That is one of the biggest advantages. Second is it is able to withstand heat more, so it can operate at higher temperatures. And as you mentioned, that it has great semiconducting properties because it comes under the same column in the periodic table as silicon and germanium. So inherently, it ought to be a semiconductor. But because of its hardness, because of its rigid crystalline structure, it also creates a bit of a problem because, in order for the semiconducting material to work, you need to dope it. So you need to add some impurities in order to modulate the flow of electricity. And that's where the problem comes. But scientists are making progress in this regard as well. There was an example of a diamond semiconductor getting doped with boron, and apparently that works. So let's see. If it works, it's fantastic.
Right. And scientists have recently created a substance that doesn't exist yet on Earth, but it's brighter and it's stronger than a diamond, something we thought was not even possible. It's called Q-carbon.
That's right. Scientists from the University of North Carolina has made a substance that outshines diamond, not only in terms of its glitter, but in terms of its properties as well. As you mentioned, it's harder than diamond, but it also exhibits some really fascinating properties, like, for example, it's ferromagnetic. Now, I don't think any of the carbon-based molecules exhibit this ferromagnetic properties. So it's a surprise. And this particular substance called Q-carbon is made by blasting extremely powerful laser for a fraction of a second on a layer of graphite with a substrate of either sapphire or glass. And then this molten state is cooled down. And depending on how it is cooled down, you get Q-carbon. But at the same time, if it's cooled at a particular stage or particular time, then you can get something called nanotubes, you can get nanodiamonds, you can get nanobots, which are fascinating medical uses. For example, they could be carriers for drug delivery, something that has been talked about quite a lot recently.
Right, and really quickly, tell us more about diamond-like materials that are used in the solar industry.
This material is called the silicon carbide. It's used to make chips for inverters, which are used in the solar installations, solar energy installations. So, for example, in order to convert direct current into alternating current, you need a substance that is able to withstand heat, and because of which the losses due to heat, they get reduced. And this is where the silicon carbide comes into play. So this is a diamond-like substance that's been created artificially.
It's fascinating research. That was Dan and Jay Kattolkar telling us more about diamond technology. Thank you so much, Dan. We're going to move on now to Test 24. It's small, easy to use, and it could well become the first 360-degree camera to attract regular people rather than early adopters. Dan, tell us more about the Giroptic by Giroptic IO, I think.
That's right. It's called IO. It's made by a French company. And as you mentioned, it's a 360 degrees camera. It has twin lenses. Each lens covers 180 degrees view. It takes pictures at 30 frames per second.
And you can just plug it on your iPhone. That's what's incredible. 8
megapixel camera. You can just plug it in your iPhone to the Lightning port, and with a dedicated application currently on iPhone and iPad, you can start taking pictures, as you can see here. I mean, you took a picture earlier.
We took a video earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a plug and play camera. So it's very easy to use. And nowadays, with live streaming becoming more and more popular, and of course, there's always been a big fad of selfies, etc. This adds a new component because you can film entire view of whether you are attending a concert or you are, I don't know, if you're in a safari or so it adds more dimensions to the images that you take.
And it's becoming so popular that Facebook is also rolling out its own 360-degree live streaming platform.
Absolutely. Just like YouTube did earlier this year, Facebook is going to roll out this service next year. And with this camera, you can live stream on YouTube and Facebook as well. And now the trend is catching up, not only in individual users, but in also big companies, big names like National Geographic, for example, on their Facebook page, you have a 360 degrees video of a safari, as you can see here.
Wow, beautiful. And you can actually travel. That's what's interesting, is that when you look at the video, it can be kind of buzzing.
It's more immersive. Yeah, it's
exactly.
more immersive. It's more enriching. It provides more information.
And you can really just travel throughout the
Exactly.
frame. It's absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much, Dan. Well, that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. We hope you enjoyed the show, and do stay tuned to France 24.